When will it end? We don't know, but it didn't end tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll break it all down coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Krell, and our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are, of course, DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys cover your favorite team whenever they win, whenever they lose. At this point, we don't know when either is going to continue to stop or happen. But we appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports while you're here, and do the same for our podcast as well. Unfortunately, once again, the Mavericks fall, and this time on the road to the Memphis Grizzlies, 119-104. It is their fifth straight loss, and unfortunately, they now own the longest current losing streak in the Western Conference, now having lost 6 of their last 7 games. Mavericks had 5 guys in double figures, including P.J. Washington, who had 17 points. Jaren Jackson Jr. was spectacular for Memphis. He had 35 and 13. We'll break it all down here for you over the course of the next hour. Make sure you let us know how you're feeling as well after tonight's loss. As gentlemen,
your favorite guys covering a team.
We are covering
a professional basketball team.
We are covering a version, Mark, of the Dallas Mavericks.
Professionals?
They are professionals. They were paid to play a game tonight, and they didn't do so well, unfortunately. But let's just start there, gentlemen. The story of the night coming into tonight's game, Kyrie Irving missing tonight's game. Missing maybe the next 1 to 2 weeks as he's dealing with a back injury. And Tim Cato, unfortunately, the Mavericks did not have enough to take out Memphis tonight. And unfortunately, in the second half, Memphis really took it to him in this game.
We did an emergency pod when we realized Kyrie Irving was going to be out at least a week, maybe more, maybe 2 weeks, maybe longer than that. You can never know with back injuries. And I opened that podcast. Go listen to it. It's on DLLS Sports. I opened that podcast by saying Dallas needs to accept they're going to be a play-in team. And they really need to look at every game that they have a chance at winning. And not every game they're going to have a chance to win. Just straight up. This is not a team that's, quirky. It can go surprise a Cleveland or a Boston.
Did tonight qualify? OKC. Was tonight a game that you saw as a game they could win?
I thought this was tonight. I thought this was a game they could win. I thought it was a game that presented itself to be able to win because Memphis was down so many players, and you're not going to win them all, but you need to be circling the games that you have a chance to win, which is, I think we did the math, like 8 out of 14 games in January. You have a chance to win 8 out of 14 games. And in that context, I was understanding this team is without its best 2 players, and it's going to look rough, but I think if you're a Mavericks fan, you're right to feel a little bit disappointed, not blow it up, but just feel a little bit disappointed that you didn't get a little bit more out of this team against that opponent down so many players. A team, honestly, quite frankly, in a very similar situation.
Yes, the Grizzlies were super banged up. I mean, their injury list was, would take Kevin 5 minutes to read it all.
It almost did during the pregame.
But they are so well drilled at playing shorthanded. They might be as good at playing shorthanded as any team in the league. So I agree with you. This was a winnable game. And the Mavericks certainly, they went into Cleveland knowing, okay, probably not going to beat the Cavaliers shorthanded.
Right.
But 2 full days off, a chance to get a practice in, short trip to Memphis. Like, this is a game we could steal. But again, the Grizzlies have last season they set every known record you could set in terms of man games lost, lineups we saw. These players that they have are very well drilled at playing without John Morant and countless other key Grizzlies. And the guys Pippen has become such a good little player. Huff, man.
I'm going to disagree with both of y'all. I don't think that you could or should consider this a game that the Mavs even could have won. I think that moving forward, and I said this 3 days ago or whatever, like, I don't expect the Mavs to win a single game without Luka and Kyrie. I don't care who they're playing, unless it's the Wizards, if the Wizards are not on a rest advantage. I don't believe that I believe the Mavericks are a very good team. I believe that they're probably the second or third best team in the NBA. But whenever they're down their two best players, around which their whole system revolves, they have no chance of fielding an above-average offense on any given night, unless they just shoot 60% from three. They played a Memphis team tonight that was down its two best players, or two of its best three, whatever, and the Grizzlies still had the best player on the floor, Jaren Jackson Jr., who went out and got 35. No Maverick had more than 17 points. It is very likely that until Luka or Kyrie come back, whichever comes back first, it is very likely that the Mavs will have like one or two guys combined score at least 25 in a game. There might not even be a guy that scores 20 in a game because they have very little to no isolation creativity. They have very little to no playmaking. They have very little guard depth now because their three best playmakers are all out. That includes Doncic, who hasn't played at all this season. Their wings struggle to shoot. PJ Washington was missing layups tonight, but he is a very, very average pull-up three-point shooter to below average, and he's only okay at catch and shoot. Maxey refuses to shoot. Najee Marshall is not a very good shooter. Clay's been a little up and down. Like, Daniel Gafford is their best offensive big man, and he got hurt tonight.
Yeah, he went out.
So, we just need to, and I'm not trying to be a doomer or an ass or anything, but, like, I think that we just need to operate under the assumption that every single game from here until the end of the season that Luka and Kyrie miss, the Mavs are probably going to lose, and they are probably going to struggle to break 100. And if they can win 104-99, let's do it. But they better win 104-99 because their days of winning 125, 120 are over.
Are you disappointed with the defense then? Because I know the defense starts on the offensive end, but this is a literally the starting five is about as defensive as you ever see. This
and I think the starting five had some decent defensive stretches. Yeah. I think the game turned when they went to the bench. I mean, Dinwiddie could not corral anybody. I thought Grimes was like okay. Hardy struggled.
I mean, the Grizz are very physical too.
Yeah,
I mean, 20 extra trips to the line.
Yeah,
and they physicaled their way there.
Yeah.
Like so.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson was too much for Maxey, too much for Lively, too much for Gafford when Gafford was in there.
Jaren Jackson's had a really nice bounce back season. And, like...
Jackson at one point called for a clear out on Najee Marshall and just went straight to the cup of the left hand.
Jalen Wells, rookie, goes to the line 11 times tonight.
Yeah, PJ inexplicably fouled him on a three or whoever it was.
He did that twice tonight.
Yeah, and it's actually, like, man, like, so, no, I'm not disappointed. I mean, I think, on their worst days... I think the Mavs have a lot of bad defenders. On their best day, they have a lot of good defenders. But again, your margin for error is already so thin, even when you're healthy in this league, in the West, against teams like Memphis. You take away your two best players, your margin for error does not exist.
Yeah, it's zero.
Everybody needs to play well. I said that on the pregame. It can't just be 3 or 4 guys that play well. You need every single player to play well. And instead, every single player handed the ball to Scottie Pippen. It's like, that's what it's going to be like.
In Dallas's defense, I mean, it starts with the offense. And when the offense is not going well, the defense is usually not going to be amazing. It wasn't amazing tonight. It wasn't bad, with Memphis being down so many players as well. They were, about average, 54th percentile for Memphis, their offensive rating. Dallas was just horrific. It was bottom, 14th percentile. Just bad stuff right there. I guess I still believe that there's going to be a couple offensive nights where this team puts it together a little bit more. I hear what you're saying. And usually when me and you debate something, very often you end up correct. I still
Not
think
always.
This offense...
I'm wrong a lot.
I still think this offense has a little bit more to it. Some of the stuff they're doing, just like PJ Washington just jacking up shots.
Klay Thompson hero ball at times.
But like, what is your pet thing that you can do? It's like, we need a good shot.
Right.
What are you doing to get a good shot? Like, do you have any spammable? I guess honestly, it's like give it to Gafford in space, and he'll maybe like space. I mean, like 8 feet from the rim, and maybe he'll be able to just bulldoze a guy. What is there like? We need an easy shot. Let's do something.
Dinwiddie was able to hit Lively a couple times for rolls to the rim for a couple dunks. Like there was a little bit of that going on, but it wasn't consistent enough in terms of the flow of the offense where anything could get going from any two guys at any point consistently in the game.
It looks so hard.
Everything was just very difficult
Dinwiddie
to
took
go
3
get.
shots in 30 minutes. That's staggering.
And they all came in like a 2-minute, like little blitz.
I mean, and I think just also
And he
what
drives
shows
to pass. But go ahead.
the fact that Najee had to play so much after a 4-game absence. I mean, I think that shows the offensive desperation too, because he kind of moves into lead playmaker status with all these guys out.
I mean, Jaden Hardy was hitting big shots to cut the deficit to 7.
Grimes was
that's what we're talking.
Why didn't Grimes start or play more, Tim?
I thought Grimes was their best offensive player in terms of when you look at the process of what is there a player out there that's creating good looks? I thought it was Grimes. I don't know. I don't know why Grimes didn't play more. Grimes is not solving the offense. Grimes is not replacing Luka or Kyrie. 6 assists, most on the team, and just consistently look. Jaden Hardy, Spencer Dinwiddie, they're better at getting into the paint. They're better at taking a pick and roll and saying, we're going to get 2 feet in the paint. Grimes is a little bit more situational when he can do that. And some of this I do think is coaching, that he is asked to treat very specific situations as an opportunity to attack.
Yeah. Josh Greenish. The rules.
But it's like a souped up Josh Green.
Yeah.
But he is looking for man advantages. He is looking for dribble handoffs. He's looking for weak side pick and rolls rather than I am going to initiate an offensive possession at the top of the key with Derek Lively. So he's looking for a few more specific situations, but I thought every time he found one of those that it worked way better. And unlike Jaden Hardy, who often gets into the paint and then passes it into hands or throws up a layup into hands, or Spencer Dinwiddie, who's going to get to the paint and then maybe pull it back out and pass out to a guy and basically give up his offensive advantage that he created, or maybe the defense didn't even rotate enough. Like if you look at Spencer Dinwiddie's numbers on drives, he's shooting like 35% on drives.
Yeah, that's very poor.
It's like he is not a threat to score when he drives the ball.
You guys want
Like,
more
just
bad
straight
news,
up.
or you want me to pretend I didn't see the tweet?
Oh my God.
We got about 2.5 minutes. Lay it on us. Lay it out.
Jason Kidd on Daniel Gafford's ankle injury. Sprained ankle, I think it is. We'll see how he feels. He's probably going to be out for some time.
Yeah, it's a big dude.
Via
and
Grant Afseth, who's on the scene in Memphis.
He's a big guy. That's a lot of weight, and he came
turned it
down
hard
on that ankle with all of it.
Yeah.
And let me be clear, all right, as one of the loudest voices against Daniel Gafford over this last few weeks, he is a guy again that you can dump the ball into, and he can at least do something with it. He's like a very quality offensive player, in certain circumstances, and now you don't have him either. So,
I mean, look,
this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Captain Obvious here because why not? The Mavericks are in trouble. Like, there is no sugarcoating any of this anymore. You're down your superstar. You're down your secondary superstar. Bodies are dropping left and right. And there are going to be real conversations here over the next couple of weeks about the direction of where this season needs to go, because the more and more losses pile up, the more and more you're looking at a season that's going to be lost rather quickly. And even when Luka comes back, when Kyrie comes back, whenever that needs to be, there may need to be a real discussion as well as what is best for the two of them, particularly 77, about the long-term, discussion about his health relative to this season. Because if this continues, this trend continues, because the schedule is not getting any easier anytime soon. You got the Lakers coming in on the second night of a back-to-back tomorrow.
They're not coming in. They're already here.
And
the Mavericks are not here.
Yeah, exactly. So the point being, as this continues, we're going to have real difficult conversations with it, because I see all the questions in the chat already. Is the season over? Should the Mavericks consider doing something drastic this off or during the trade deadline?
No.
Or which we'll get to throughout the course of the show as well. But those questions are in here about the overall direction of the season, because I'm not gonna lie to you, as a man who runs his mouth professionally for a living, I have no idea what's gonna happen next. I don't know, and honestly, I don't have any.
Flag for flag?
No, it's Capture the Flag is the game that the NBA is playing. Is Capture the Flag. But we will try to provide some of those answers here over the next 45
Who
minutes.
in the chat? Who in the chat? I know we got to go to break, but who in the chat went to see Cooper Flag at SMU over the weekend? Can someone
there
let us
too.
know if you went to go see Cooper Flag at SMU over the weekend? Drop us a little scouting report in the chat room.
Wow, Don got slashed across the chest.
That might even be too much violence to
Was-
show. I don't even know if we could show that on YouTube.
Was Derek Lively in a knife fight?
Yeah, like what? Okay, Najee, I know we lost, but my guy,
The knife!
he's on your team.
Let's take our first
That's
break here on the
crazy.
DLLS Mavs post-game show. When we come back, we know what the turning point was. It happened around 2:30 this afternoon. But we'll talk about that and what else we can discuss from this game as well. Plus, we'll get to some of your chat as well. Coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. But it's bowl season. As the college football season is winding down, we are down to the college football playoff national semifinals. Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, and also Notre Dame, who is going to be playing for the right to get to the national championship. We'll find out in a couple of days. But once the national championship game is over with, you got to go to the East-West Shrine Bowl, taking place right here in the heart of Texas on January 30th. America's oldest college football all-star game being held right here at AT&T Stadium, marking the 100th East-West Shrine Bowl taking place here at Arlington, Texas. Since 1925, the game has benefited Shriners children and its mission to provide innovative pediatric specialty care to improve and transform the lives of children. See some of the nation's top college football players in this head-to-head competition ahead of the NFL's annual selection meeting, otherwise known as the NFL Draft, coming up in April. The East-West Shrine Bowl has served as a starting point for many noteworthy NFL careers, including 80 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and more than 200 members of the College Football Hall of Fame as well. Tickets start at just $20. Visit shrinebowl.com to buy your tickets today for the 100th Shrine Bowl taking place at AT&T Stadium.
And now that you're going, let me tell you how to get there. Game Time. Game Time is the best app for buying and purchasing tickets. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks that is makes getting tickets for events even easier, including the East-West Shrine Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the place to go. Another great thing about them, Game Time Picks, it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. You can also buy tickets that aren't just sports. You know, I used Game Time just the other day to buy tickets to a Jamie XX concert that's coming up here in a few weeks. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. What time is it?
Game time. Oh.
As we continue here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show, Mavericks fall by 15, 119 and 104 to the Memphis Grizzlies. Mavericks have now lost 6 of 7 games, unfortunately 5 straight after tonight's loss. Daniel Gaffer left this game with 8:26 left in the first half and did not return due to a sprained left ankle. Jason Kidd already saying that it appears Gaffer will be out from quite some time given his post-game press conference comments. The Mavericks shot 40% from the field in this game and 36% for three, had 15 turnovers. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies had 5 guys in double figures, including Jaren Jackson at 35 and 13. Scottie Pippen Jr. had a nice game as well with 18 points.
Good player.
He's a good player. Knocked down a couple big shots in this game for Memphis to build some momentum back on their side. PJ Washington had 17 points. Najee Marshall, who made his return after his 4-game suspension after his altercation with Yusuf Nurkic and the Phoenix Suns, had 16 points in his return. And gentlemen, you know, Mark Follow started to kind of, you know, allude to it in terms of the 3 acts, if you will, so far of this Mavericks season. The first being a team that started 5-7 in their first 12 games, then ripped off 14 of 17 games, and now has lost 6 of 7. We know how long the season is, but we are just completed game number 36 of the season, with game 37 coming in less than 24 hours when they take on the Los Angeles Lakers here in Dallas. What are your overall thoughts on the way that the season has played out, given the injuries, given the great play that we saw in that 17-game stretch, and where we are now relative to where things are headed with this team based off of what we know right now, Tim Cato?
I mean, yes, I now know, like, we know this is a good team, and we were talking about how fully healthy there's 3-4 teams kind of in the same tier as them. And if you want to put a couple teams in their own tier, I think I would. I think at this point, you know, Boston and OKC and maybe Cleveland are kind of in a tier of their own. But Dallas had an opportunity to prove they should push into that tier, and now they don't. This is a rock fight, knife fight. Get every win you can. Not that type. Not that type.
He's going to have to fight.
Yeah,
oh,
he's
wait
gonna
a
have
minute.
to fight.
No,
Stop fighting.
Stop.
Stop
Honestly,
fighting. Don't fight. If you want to tank, then get in a couple fights.
I hate saying this, but there is a not impossible scenario where Dallas is going to miss the play-in by a game, and you're really going to look back at the game against Portland that PJ and Najee were not available for and wonder.
I mean,
non-zero chance. I'm not.
Cleveland was in
wishing
here
this
the
into
other
existence.
night. I had a chance to visit with Kenny Atkinson, and coaches do this. Coaches always do this, so I don't want to get too carried away about. I don't want to get too carried away about it, but he was just going on and on about how good the Mavericks are and what a beast they are and what a problem they can be full strength, but they are now so far shy of full strength. And when are we going to see them again at full strength? So it's like, I mean, I don't even know how you can make judgments because obviously we are not going to see Luka Doncic in the month of January. We are not going to see him back on the floor until at some point in February at the earliest. And our dear friend Jeff Stotts from In Street Clothes, I'm sure you guys saw the citation that we don't know a lot about Kyrie's injury situation at this point, but Jeff Stotts, who tracks injuries as well as anyone who follows the NBA, according to his database, non-surgical situations with Kyrie's injury, the average absence is a month. So if it is more than a week or two for Kyrie, I mean, if it's a month for both of your main guys, I mean, how can you judge this group? And like, I would not want, like, there's no short-term fix out there that's not like a Band-Aid. I mean, that is a major, major setback to not have Luka and Kyrie. I mean, and that's saying, how many times were we talking about it? Kyrie, he's played 28 out of 31. He's played 29 out of 32. I mean, he was on pace for his, most present season in years.
Mm-hmm.
And so the setback happens now. And yeah, I mean, I certainly would not advocate trying to rush out there and find some miracle stopgap trade because this West is just too good. I mean, it's so deep. And I guess the only consolation for the Mavs right now is there are a lot of teams in their range who are going through the same stuff. The Phoenix Suns are going through a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
The Golden State Warriors just lost Kuminga. Minnesota has been incredibly up and down. So the Mavericks are not alone in facing difficult circumstances outside of the top 2 or 3 in the West. But yeah, I mean, this month, ominous doesn't even begin to describe it.
Well, there's really like, okay, you do want to go out and make a trade, right? Because now your 25 pick might be better. Although if you're trading for a good player, the team that's getting that pick is going to be like, well, it's not going to be good because we're giving you a good player.
Right.
So what are you going to do? Trade 2 or 3 guys for one dude with a big salary, and then now that one dude is playing with even less of a cast than the Mavs have right now? Like, that's not going to turn it around. And if you do go make some trade, that guy also has to be able to fit alongside Luka and Kyrie. And like I said this to Tim earlier on the emergency pod, but like the kind of player that can score enough to make your offense, competitive, but that can also fit alongside Luka and Kyrie does not exist. That player does not exist. I guess Kevin Durant.
Can I just
but
go?
like
Dallas does
Giannis.
not. Dallas does not have 3 second round picks to give up for Dennis Schroeder, who's already traded. But would Dennis Schroeder fix this? I'm not sure he would.
I mean, they'd be a little more
punchier.
They would have, as Austin Guru says, they would have some decorum. Their offense would have some decorum.
Yeah, but
I mean,
would you have? Let's just say that was an option. Like, let's just say Dallas was like,
I mean, I guess
3 second round picks to get Dennis Schroeder just to
so
maybe
how
win
many
2 more games.
Even if Dennis Schroeder plays at the level he was playing at for Brooklyn, which he has not been able to replicate as a Warrior, how many more games does that win you?
Like 2,
2,
Yeah.
3.
It's marginal.
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
2-3 games might be what decides whether you make the play-in tournament.
Maybe, but like, is that
if you
worth
had
it,
3 second round picks to spend, would you want to do it?
Yeah, this is a hypothetical scenario.
like,
Dallas
they don't
did not
have-
have 3 to give up.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, even seconds have become so valuable because you can sometimes 3 second-round picks can equate a first, and Brooklyn just traded 2 pretty coveted players for 6 second-round picks
Yeah,
total.
I mean,
but-
Dorian's not fixing this. That's for sure.
Yeah,
No.
I mean,
No.
But like, okay, so this Mavs team, a lot of good players,
Mm-hmm.
incredible number of good players. Maybe it's easy to say this now because like I feel hopeless. One of maybe the best team of my lifetime, the best Mavs team of my lifetime. Like, this is a really, really, really talented team.
When they're healthy, this is one of the deepest teams in the league.
Like, pretty much almost a complete team.
we need to
Yes,
count up,
almost.
though. I don't have this number at my fingertips. I really wish I did, and I probably should. But, like, how many days this season have they been full strength?
119 minutes their starting 5 played, and they were the best lineup in basketball. And they might play this many more minutes together the rest of the season. We don't know. But I say all of that to say this team rules. This is a great basketball
it's a
team.
really good team.
They could win the title. However, when you take Luka and Kyrie off, I would say even unlike a team like Memphis, where their system can still happen even without Ja or even without Bane or even without both, they can still play Grizzlies-style basketball.
Yes.
The Mavs have built a team, which I think is wise because for as easy as we think it is to build a team around Luka, I think you have to really optimize a team around Luka. The Mavs are so perfectly optimized around Luka and Kyrie that if you take Luka and Kyrie out,
The system's
they're going
broken.
to look awful.
Yeah.
There is
Just-
no replacement.
And don't lose sight of the fact tonight that outside of the rookies, Wells and Edey, a lot of these Grizzlies players have been doing this. They've been forced into these expanded roles going all the way back to last season. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're really good at it. I mean, like you look at what Scottie Pippen Jr. has become, and Jay Huff and Laravia. Like, teams really like these players. Conchar is a player that could very well move at this trade line, and Conchar was very heavily in the talks between Brooklyn and Memphis when the Grizzlies were trying to get Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, Conchar had 13 rebounds tonight. I mean, they've got the Grizzlies have
a lot of rebounds.
not just a lot of very good players on their team, but again, their guys have been playing in this dire health situation for literally going back to last.
And I accept that, but like Scottie Pippen Jr. wasn't doing this for most of last season. Is Dallas going to get better at it? Because they better.
Well, that's
By
what
the
I'm
end of the
saying.
month, like
hope
you
so.
give them a few more weeks.
Hope so.
I don't know if they have a few more weeks to get better at it, but
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies got a gap year, basically.
they did.
But I think that
They
gap
did.
year's helping them now.
No,
well,
for sure.
PJ
for sure, for
Washington
sure, yeah.
used to be a number 2 scorer
on one
like,
of the
he's not
worst
channeling
teams
that
in the league.
Exactly. Well, what was Memphis last season? One of the worst teams of the league. If
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
helping
yeah,
them
yeah.
in this situation, all I'm saying, you should be able to translate a little bit better. I still watch that game, and I watched the first quarter where they were really good, and they're up by 10 most of it, and then into the second quarter. And I thought that I thought Dallas could maintain more of that. I didn't think that it was going to be a blowout or they were going to run away with it. I didn't think this offense was even going to be above average. But to have that bad of an offense when all you needed was a bang average offense, because that's what Memphis won the game with.
Yeah, I think like some of that was PJ got a little unlucky. A couple things rolled out.
Yeah.
Like there were two missed free throws in a row that like just hung on the front of the rim. So like, you patch together an extra 5-6 points.
And that's the thing. Like
it's like
every
a little
time,
respect.
every time you go into one of these games that you say you circle at this point,
Yeah.
because you are just canceling. You're putting a big X over games that you're not going to win. Don't think about them. You go in, you show up. You
Okay,
leave.
so
you're not going to win.
do
So you circle the games you win.
Do you surrender tomorrow and put all of it on beating Portland on Thursday night?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I
At
wouldn't
this
play
point-
Clay tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
play
No
it. Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
No, legitimately. Like, I think that you have to be ruthlessly pragmatic about your schedule in January. Over
Which
the
is-
next, you need to get 2 or 3 wins at least by the. You want at least 2 more wins by the time. Let's say 2 weeks from now. Like, let's do 2.5, 3 weeks from now. You need like 3 or 4 more wins in January.
Hold on. Let's take our next break. Let's
Okay.
put a pause on that. We'll continue
Yeah.
with the conversation here on our next break. After our next break here on the DLLS Mavs postgame shows, we decide and discuss what the things start to look like as the Mavericks continue this week with the Lakers coming into tomorrow, and more on this game, plus more of your chat as well here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Things are getting existential right now. Things are getting hopeless. And I feel so terribly cold and alone. I just want to curl up into a little ball on the Empire Today floor and just stay there forever.
Do you want me to bring you a blanket?
I don't need it because Empire Today is so comfortable. The floor keeps me warm. It's a nice place to sleep. I don't know if they would want me to advocate sleeping on their floor,
Don't
but
overpromise. Like, it's a comfortable floor to sleep on. I'm still bringing you a blanket.
oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. I would appreciate
and
that.
then once the blanket's over you, it retains
Indeed.
heat retention.
Indeed.
No, we're not doing it indeed, Rad.
Oh, that's right. And if you use the virtual floor designer, you can shop for floors where you use your floors. Just take a picture of your floor. Boom. You can see what it'll look like with your decor, with your lighting in your home. You don't even need to go to a big box store and get ripped off by some jabroni that's trying to make a buck on commish. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/DLLS for details.
We talked about Rugged Road. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions, whether you're on land or water. Rugged Road is built to accompany you on every adventure. I got one right here next to me in Rugged Road coolers. They're durable and dependable as well, crafted to handle the toughest environments. Coolers built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. Also, the coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days as well, oftentimes much longer than that. Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing to tubing to camping to tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off. Again, ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use code DLLS for 10% off today.
Good shout, Tanner. I saw that.
What did Tanner do?
Nice message to the
Tanner,
to the
nice
faithful.
message. What did you send?
What did Tanner say?
I don't know. But
Hit
I'm
us with
sure
a
it was
like.
nice.
Can I clarify
Yes.
something I said a little earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
As we continue here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show.
So
here.
Thomas was responded to what I was saying, that like, okay, so how can they be deep but also lose whenever their best two players are out, whereas like some teams will still win despite guys being out, which is a fair point. But like I was saying, you know, the Mavs, their entire, like with a player like Luka, you kind of have to build your whole identity around the way that he plays on offense, just given the way he plays, you know. And then defensively, the Mavs have built a defensive system, defensive rules, a defensive identity around essentially not just protecting Luka, but also protecting Kyrie, down to the kind of players they want to play five, down to the number of positions that they'll switch on, their double team rules, how often they play zone, like everything that they do is built around Luka. It's like,
we said Luka is the system.
yeah, it's kind of like how, like when you know, I don't know if this is a dated reference anymore, but like when Leo Messi goes to a team, like you have to kind of build your whole deal around him. Like he's so good, but he kind of plays the way, like the tiki-taka, right? The little short passes and little possession of the ball and stuff. Like, and Luka is kind of that same way. Like you don't necessarily want, if you're building a team around Luka, you don't want, I mean, it's not really feasible even if you did want it, but you don't necessarily want to play the way, for example, the Celtics do, because Luka needs a screener. It's not 5 out, spread, create, drive, ISO. He wants a screener. So you need a big screener. Ideally, that screener needs to be able to protect the rim at the other end, because Luka and Kyrie get blown by every now and then. So like that big is going to be a traditional big.
Hello,
It's
Derek
not going to be a
Lively.
stretch five. We tried the stretch five thing with KP. It didn't work. All right, so you want that to be a rim roller, a rim rocker, Gafford, Lively, guys like that. You need wings that are rangy. They can defend up or down. Guys like PJ can defend 4s and 2s. Najee, even Clay, Dorian. You know, think of all, like Reggie Bullock.
Reggie
Like,
Bullock.
you
Yeah.
need guys that can play a certain position on offense, that can shoot, spread the floor, ideally do a little something with the ball, but not too much, because then they're going to feel frozen out. And then they need to be versatile on defense. So like everything, you know, that's why I said optimized. Like this team is perfectly built to win with Luka and Kyrie, and with even with one of them, I think they could still win a lot of games. But without both of them, it's like all your creativity is gone. And I mean, your third guard is also out. Like I think your top 3 guards right now are not available.
Yeah.
I think top 3 guards off any team in the league, they're going to look bad.
Yeah.
But especially this one, because Luka and Kyrie are so good and so central to this whole thing.
And honestly, after tonight, obviously with the Mavericks losing 119 to 104, someone who has done radio in the past and talked about, other topics and, bigger discussions and pictures when it comes to teams and how they look relative to their season into their future, kind of where my mind starts to go a little bit, because you start thinking about it in the short term. Obviously, with the Lakers coming in tomorrow on the second night of a back-to-back, who do you play? Who do you not play? Do you put all your attention and focus on the Blazers game in a few days as well, trying to figure out where some of these wins are going to come from? But as someone who kind of starts to look down the road as well, we talk about with Kyrie Irving in terms of his injury. He's got a back injury. Obviously, Luka dealing with the calf injury. The amount of maximization that this team has to do, not only in the short term and the long term, given some decisions that they've got to start making coming up here, whether it's Kyrie Irving on a contract, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and others. I'm sure there are some Mavericks fans that are looking long term, like, okay, now what's going to be happening over the next, not just this season, but now you start thinking about into the offseason. Because a back injury, just using Kyrie as the example here, is a tricky one because he's in a contract year. How is a guy at 32 years of age, 14 years in the league, dealing with that kind of injury? What does that do potentially for the long-term plans of this team? Like, these are the kinds of things that start swirling in my mind, because as we get deeper and deeper to this, it feels more and more like wins are going to be harder to come by, which now gets you to think about bigger picture things about this team.
The Kyrie situation is tough because we know so little.
Sure.
How did this injury happen? How serious is it? I mean, before this, he was on the injury report with multiple diagnoses in a short-term span. There was the shoulder, there was the illness. Now it's this, back/neck thing. So, I mean, it's hard to make a judgment until we know more. I mean, I think it's dangerous a little bit to try to go super, not dangerous is the wrong word, but it's like it's hard to really apply big picture thinking when we still don't at least in Luka's case we know what's up.
And he was moving very gingerly on that thing the other day.
But it's like when this team went 6-2 without Luka, everybody was loving how deep they were and how well they responded. So it's like
Kyrie was still on the floor though at that time,
of course. But I'm just saying, it's just like, I mean, it's hard to resist, but snap judgments in the NBA in a regular season so long are typically not wise. They're not hard. They're hard to resist, but it's like, I just don't know that tonight is the night to be, zooming out that far.
Yeah. I have a couple comments I wanted to mention.
Go for it.
And address. Thomas says that he thinks it's a dangerous model then, especially if the two guys it's built around are injury prone. I hear you. And it looks pretty bad when both those players are out. When you build the system, though, and you build it very specifically that they have overlapping traits, no team. First off, I would say that this is the first serious injury Luka's ever dealt with. With the Mavericks, I think at any point
he's been qualified, right? He's played at least 65.
Yeah, and he's
he typically misses 10-ish games, a little bit more some years, but
which sadly now is normal.
Yeah, almost. 10 to 15. But this is the longest term injury of his career. And last year they made the finals with Kyrie playing 58 regular season games.
He played 70 games last year, and that's the most he played since his rookie year. Obviously, he was on pace to play a few more during the COVID season, but this is going to be the most games he's missed in an NBA season. So, on one hand, I hear you. On the other hand, Kyrie was the redundancy, and you were not planning for Luka to be out a month. And I think any team that's missing their two best players is going to struggle from it. You have to build a. If you're going to build a system with Luka, I guess you could choose to go the KP route, but they went that. They chose to have a different style of NBA player and have him as kind of a contingency plan. And I just think that if you're bringing around Luka, you're going to build with players that understand that they're not going to have the balls now. And this is the most that they've built a contingency beyond just the second star. And I still think there's a little bit more to see from this team, as I've been saying this whole podcast. But clearly, it's not going to consistently be there. Clearly, you're just going to lose some games that way. The other comment that I saw is Jonathan Duncan said Jason Kidd can't coach this team without Luka and Kyrie. Again, I think every single coach is going to struggle to, without their two best players. I think Jason Kidd is the right coach. He is the best coach to coach Luka and Kyrie. The one thing I'll say is that my criticism of Kidd throughout his entire tenure with the Mavericks, there's only one season that you can point criticism to, is that he doesn't really adjust to when things are not going the way that he envisioned. That's what I said when the team entirely missed the playoffs. That was my one big on-the-court criticism of him over the now 4 years of him coaching this team. And maybe that's the case. Maybe there is a little bit of that going on, that he's not adjusting well to not having Luka and Kyrie out there. That is a very different thing, to be very
don't know
clear.
how you do, though. Like,
I don't know.
what do you do?
I don't know.
Like, again, it's like, how do you get
I
a
kind
good
of
shot,
agree.
you know?
But I am also just saying that, like, maybe there is some coach that could get a little bit more
Yeah.
out of this unit. All I'm saying is that
Because they're looking at a team in Memphis tonight who didn't have hardly anybody.
And
Yeah.
you can
Name
say
to
the same
speak
thing.
of.
You know, in any individual game in the season that they completely missed the playoffs, you could say the same thing. What is he going to do? He's playing Christian Wood and a banged up Luka, and there's nobody else around them. But you look at the entirety of that season, and you thought they should have done a little bit better. So I think, I think when we reach, I am not blaming Jason Kidd for this game, for any individual game. I would like to see Jason Kidd and the entire roster, which I think is the best roster built around Luka in this Luka era. I would like to see them find a way to get some wins, because I agree with you, Bobby. You look at this game tonight and it's like, okay, what are they going to do? You know, like, well, they didn't shoot that well. Maybe they should have shot better. I think they can get some wins out of this when you look at the entirety of the month, and there's still time to do that. You know, like, Kyrie just went out. There's still time to get those wins, but I do think this team is talented enough to get a few more wins, even without Luka and Kyrie.
I like my worry is, you know, I think that they're going to be fine defensively tonight. They were, I don't know what their defensive rating ended up being. It was
Bang
probably
average.
113. Yeah, that's not bad.
114.4.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, their offensive rating was below 100, and like any mark of a really good offense, especially a really good offensive player, is, this is like the most intangible thing ever, but it's like, can you just get a good shot? Can you? What's your thing? Like, what's your thing that you could do?
There's no identity on this offense right now.
Yeah, but it's not even identity. It's like, what is the best way to get PJ Washington a shot? It's definitely not to post him up. Is it like PJ's best shot is probably the floater push shot thing, and he missed like 5 of those tonight. So it's like, all right, well, if you're the coach and you're like, man, we really need to get PJ going, I'm gonna call a play for him to miss a 5-footer. Like, and Najee and PJ have very similar skill sets on offense, and Najee was all right tonight, but like Clay, I mean, I guess you want to have him coming off a couple screens, but who's screening for him? Like, where's the threat? You're just gonna switch. You know, it's.
There's no one that you look at in Memphis, I'm sure in some ways thought the same, that no one threatens you really offensively.
Yeah, you're just not afraid of anybody.
Yeah, there's no one that you feel like, oh, I got to make sure I'm stopped. There's no one on the floor.
Yeah, and like Jackson, I'm not necessarily afraid of Jaren Jackson, but he's got the combination of size, speed, herky-jerkiness, and touch to like at least create some sort of mismatch issue. And nobody right now, I mean, unless Grimes is feeling really good, no one really creates like a mismatch issue where it's like, I'm either too small or too big or too fast or too slow or too.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like such a Quentin Grimes homer. And
we're Quentin Grimes truthers on this show.
I do enjoy just like, aesthetically, he has such a pleasing game that I know there's a little like internal bias that I have going on here just because it's fun to watch him play. He doesn't get first looks. And I think that's very intentional, and maybe he wouldn't do well with those first looks, but he doesn't get them either. Everything he's doing is when the ball gets to the weak side. And I do wonder if there's a little bit more of, I don't know, not every quarter. If you just give him the ball and ask him to attack, not every quarter is going to look like the third quarter against Cleveland. Everybody understands that. But the third quarter against Cleveland looked really good, and he was the one player, you know, in this entire stretch without Luka and Kyrie, that when not only I trusted to get past their man during that stretch, but then he was making the right decisions there. He was making the right reads. And I just think that's important.
Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. More on, obviously, this game and start to look ahead to tomorrow because the Mavericks are right back on the floor less than 24 hours as they welcome in LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, and we'll take a quick look around the league as well. All that coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
But first, the internal read. Hey, you like sports? Do you like Dallas sports? If you still like Dallas sports
And you're not injured
after this, then you really are a freak of nature, just like us. You really are a diehard, man. If you're still online after all this stuff, then you're built different. You're built different than the rest of them. And we make this stuff for y'all. I know we disagree. I know the chat is heated tonight. Boy, God, y'all really hate each other.
I told you the chat was gonna be a little fired up tonight, man.
Yeah, and I've talked for 45 minutes about why this is not surprising to me at all. But hey, we talk every day on this show. We do 5 shows a week. We do pre and post game for every single game. And so if you want to support what we're doing here by liking the stream, by commenting, by sharing,
200 people in here.
Let's go.
Pretty amazing.
By subbing to the channel, whatever you want to do, however you want to support us, that's great. If you want to take your support one step further, you can scan that QR code down there, click the link in the description, or go to alldlls.com. That's our website, /diehard. And for less than $7 a month, you can become a diehard and financially support what we're doing here. In exchange, you get a free shirt when you sign up and a discount on any other gear you want.
Physical diehard card as well.
Physical diehard card. You can join the DLLS Discord server. That is exclusive for diehards. You also get to read the entire website, all the post-game stuff, analysis, columns, features written by people like Tim Cato on the Mavs and people on every other beat in town. It would mean a lot to me if you did that. Want to shout out some of our most recent signups. Shout out to Grant, to Chris, shout out Thomas, shout out Don, shout out Dan, shout out Cameron. They all have signed up. What is this? What's today? Monday? They all signed up at least over the weekend, and then a couple of them today. So shout out to y'all for doing that. And again, any way that y'all choose to support us is great. You are very appreciated. You are very loved, even if I disagree with your sports opinion sometimes.
alldlls.com. Become a diehard member today for less than $7 a month. Tag us on social media and let us know you've become part of our DLLS sports family here. Make sure you also like and comment and subscribe to the channel while you're here as well, and do the same for our podcast as we finish up here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. The Mavericks fall by 15, 119-104 to the Memphis Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson, 35-13 for Memphis. Unfortunately, gives the Mavericks their 5th straight loss, and they've now lost 6.
This isn't real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, Gaku-Jin in the last segment said, I get teams missing shots, but if you have better defense and allow at least 10 to 15 points less, you give yourself more chance to win. Basically implying like, the Mavs should rely on their defense now because it is generally a more defense-heavy team. And I do agree with that. Like, if you can kind of change gears into a more defense-heavy outfit, then that should increase your chances to win. But I think the Mavs' problem in this game in particular wasn't so missed shots in the lane was actually huge. They shot 43% in the lane on 56 attempts. But tonight, the real bugaboo was the turnovers. A lot of live ball turnovers. The Grizzlies had 11 steals. They had 16 fast break points. Those are like easy shots, out in transition. And so like I agree that I think the defense is the best way for them to win games until Luka and Kyrie come back. But in that case, your offense has to protect your defense. But therein lies the concern of your best 3 ball handlers are out. These guys are either they're sloppy with the ball, not as good at making decisions, not as adept at reading the floor. And so you're more prone to mistakes, especially when going up against ball hawks like Pippen. Ball security, if you're going to be a defensive-minded team that's going to slow the pace down, minimize the possessions, you have to be careful with the ball. That's like the number one thing. But I do agree with that point. I do agree that defense gives them their best bet to win.
And that means more Spencer Dinwiddie, who you trust with the ball. And he's not going to be very explosive with it.
Less dynamic offense.
Pretty boring.
But I'm seeing this narrative, and I'm seeing this narrative in the chat. Look at Orlando. Yeah, Orlando for one. What they're doing, I don't know if they can even explain it. That the wins they're stacking up with their injury situation. But also, let's rewind. Do you remember what the Magic looked like here early in the season? Right after they lost Paolo Banchero.
Abysmal.
It's like 6 weeks later. They've been playing without their main guys for so long.
Yes.
They've learned how to do it. I mean, I would like to think that by the end of this month, the Mavericks are going to look better. They're going to have adjusted somewhat to the fact that they don't have Luka and Kyrie, and there will be an overall greater competence from the rest of the group after having to do it repeatedly over and over and over again. the Magic to some degree have built up to what they, I mean, I still can't explain it, and it still defies logic that they could have.
They play in the East.
And
They're
that's also they
14
play
and
in the
3 against
East.
losing teams.
Yeah.
8-13 against
No
winning teams. But
Banchero, no Franz, and no Suggs tonight. But it's like, again, they've been in this position for literally weeks, and they've adjusted to it. So
and so I was the one who brought up the comment that brought up the coaching, and now it's a whole thing in the chat that I'm not reading anymore. Sorry, love y'all, but not tonight. Here's what I'll say. Jason Kidd, go impress us. This is a good chance for Jason Kidd to show that he can match in a very similar way that, Jamal Mosley is impressing everyone. He damn near probably is the favorite for Coach of the Year. I don't know. You never know with that award.
well, I mean, Kenny Atkinson's the favorite. I mean,
I'm gonna say
but
Kenny
Mo's,
Atkinson probably.
when we're gonna look at the coach of the year candidates who are most unfairly obscured by what Cleveland's doing, it's going to be Jamal Mosley at the top of it, and probably Ty Lue with the Clippers not far behind.
Hell,
Yeah,
low
and
key, Mark Dagnall might need to be in the conversation
he's up there
again.
too. 'Cause I mean,
Nobody knows what a coach actually does. Like, there's no way to quantify that. What I will say is that Orlando is winning games that they shouldn't, in a lot of contexts, or at least like the quantity of games they're winning. It's more than you would expect. I do not think the roster is doomed without Luka and Kyrie. I think it's way worse, and they're going to lose some games.
Oh,
But
no.
I still think Dallas can win games, and I would give a lot of credit to Jason Kidd if they can do that over the next 2 weeks. That's all I've been saying. I keep saying that. Go do it. I still think that over the course of a month, not any individual game, but over the course of these next 3-4 weeks, however long you're dealing with, no Luka and possibly no Kyrie, or at least only some of Kyrie, I would like to see this team win a few games, maybe that you even don't expect them to. Even when we're looking at this team, and I don't really think they're going to win games we don't expect them to, but if you go beat Minnesota, on an off day, or like not an off day, but like,
and good
like,
shout
it's not a
out,
back-to-back
good
is what I
shout
mean
out
by
here
that.
from Justin.
Then
Just
go do that. And that
JB
would be
Bickerstaff's in the conversation too. Very good point.
that would be
Pistons 500 after tonight.
that would be a
Sorry.
feather in the coaching's, in Jason Kidd's hat. I don't think this detracts from Jason Kidd. He's the right coach for this team. And trust me, I had to be convinced about that. His first couple of years here. I did. He's the right coach for this team. He's the right coach for Luka and Kyrie. I would love to see that he can also elevate this group however long they have, because he has to. This group has to elevate themselves. This group has to go get the wins they need to make sure that Luka and Kyrie are in the playoffs, that they're not fighting a losing uphill battle once they get back, because they're so far behind that it doesn't matter how many games they win. But I think it would speak wonders, and it would show something that Jason Kidd hasn't quite shown, because he hasn't had a chance to, mostly because he mostly has had Luka available. I think it would be very cool to see him go rise to this occasion. So let's see.
What does that mean, though?
If in 2 or 3 weeks they look this bad, we have a conversation. But again, go back and look at how
That's kinda what I'm
Orlando
saying, yeah.
played when they were in Dallas and had just lost Paolo Banchero, and the Magic looked like they were never going to win another
looked
game again.
They looked,
I mean,
oh my
so,
God, they were
like-
so bad. I said so many mean things about them that night.
But I
Yeah.
guess the difference for me is the schedule doesn't lend itself to a Magic who, as Bobby mentioned, you get to play in the East. Like, let's just run it down real quick. You got the Lakers coming on the second night of a back-to-back tomorrow. You might sit a couple of guys knowing what kind of difficulty you had tonight and looking forward to the game on Thursday against Portland. You got Portland at home on Thursday. The Mavericks play their next 4 games at home. You got Los Angeles tomorrow, Portland on Thursday, and then you've got this Sunday, Tuesday get off with the Denver Nuggets, where you play a 2:00 game on a Sunday, and then you play them again on Tuesday.
It'd be nice to have Daniel Gafford for those games, but
It doesn't look like you're going to have Daniel Gafford, according to Jason Kidd, what he had to
Just
say
think about how.
game.
Just
So,
think,
I mean,
think about how sad they'll be in the Balkans, because a game like that is done. So
Oh,
that's
that's
done.
tough.
That's done for
But, like,
to be in prime time. And
here is a very practical example of, like, yeah, Jason Kidd can probably scheme up a game plan to slow down Nikola Jokic with Derek Lively and Dwight Powell and no point guards.
It ain't happening. It's not happening.
That's just not.
It's not happening.
Players you just have to get lucky, and your guys have to be awesome.
And
Like, it
again,
just
this is why you play the
know?
games. You might find a win or two
Yeah,
somewhere, but
it's
if
possible.
if we're looking at this practically based off of what we know right now and the bodies that continue to drop off this team, night in and night out. Your next winnable game next Wednesday on the road against the Pelicans.
Second night of
Maybe.
back-to-back.
No, Thursday night against Portland is the next winnable game.
They lost to Portland with Kyrie on the floor.
Scoring 46.
They're going to beat Portland on Thursday.
Whoa! Okay, are you willing to say it?
Are you putting a guarantee on that one? All right, we'll leave it there.
I mean, they were down PJ and Najee in the last one.
Look, I guess for me, because I know how
Guarantee!
Oh, wow.
Oh,
He
my
put the
God.
guarantee on it.
Mark that.
Yeah, please mark that.
Aren't
I guess.
am I 0-1 on guarantees this season?
I don't know.
I don't remember any.
I did one, and I think they lost.
I guess part of me is, and I don't know why I feel like this is well up in myself. I'm trying to like keep my cool because as I look around, like we've been doing this for a very long time. We know how superstar driven this league is. It's okay at times to lose one of your guys. Losing multiple guys on the kind of all NBA level that this team has, it is extremely difficult, if not damn near impossible, to absorb that and deal with that for a 2, 3, 4 week, maybe 6 week period and think that you're going to come out of it in a way that allows you to either be successful or even get to the playoffs or even now get to a play-in. It's very, very hard. So I guess where my mind is setting proper expectations we've tried to do here based on what they have, what they don't have, who is coaching them, whether or not he can or cannot elevate this team. Because honestly, I don't know if he has the personnel to elevate anything that's going on right now because they can't find wins against teams that are as shorthanded as they are, if not worse, shorthanded than what they are.
Have we reached a consensus on what they should do tomorrow night? I mean, obviously, we're assuming Gafford ain't going to play.
Yeah, you got to smoke tomorrow's game.
So
Yeah,
no
you
Clay?
Yeah, you smoking tomorrow's
What
game.
else?
You got to just put all your eggs in the basket and try to beat Portland on Thursday.
Probably limiting Dinwiddie.
Yeah, I mean, Dinwiddie played 30 minutes today.
Yeah, I'm probably not
Yeah.
even playing Dinwiddie.
And that's terrible because tomorrow's a nationally
Quentin
televised game.
Grimes, put
Yeah.
the ball in his hands, Tim Cato.
It's a nationally televised game.
Not
It's a
many of
6:30 start
their
time too.
not many of their games are going to be on
Party,
national TV
party.
this month.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
going to change.
I mean, Brandon Williams and,
Omax.
Goldman. Oh, Omax on LeBron.
Jay-Z and Gortman.
Omax is going to posterize Anthony Davis tomorrow night. Tanner, mark that.
Oh, wow.
Guarantee.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Tim, we'll see what Jason Kidd has. I mean, this is part of the reason why he is here with this team to try to do something. But at some point, he's looking around and thinking, okay, I just got to play who I got to play and try to figure it out. Smoke and mirrors, whatever the case may be. But yeah, if you're asking me what to do tomorrow for tomorrow night's game, yeah, you smoking that game against Los Angeles. Sorry.
The thing is, like, again, they're probably going to lose almost every game if not every game until they come back. So it's like, and
I hate we're having this
right at the
discussion.
beginning, people
I
were like,
hate
should
it.
they tank? Should they blow it up? I'm like, no, you don't need to. You could just keep playing and
And
lose.
that okay, thank you for bringing me back around to that because there are a lot of folks in the chat who would be like, look, do you make a trade by the February 6th trade deadline? This is not a team to me that needs to have a desperation trade made for. This might be your Texas Rangers season. This might be your Cowboys season where everybody and their mama and their cousin and two is just getting hurt. And it happens from time to time. Like, it sucks. Trust me, it sucks because I don't want nothing more than this team to continue to win games. But
the Mavs,
unfortunately,
unlike the Cowboys, though, the Mavs are actually good.
touche. But the point being, these teams deal with this.
closing.
The Rangers coming off a World Series was injury riddled like crazy and couldn't find their way back to the playoffs. Obviously, the Cowboys, what the bleep ever. And now the Mavericks are dealing with some real tough injuries right now, and they're just going through it. They're going through it, and I don't know where the answer comes, but we're going to try to find out over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Gakujin says, Dwight Powell, the inevitable legacy game tomorrow. Love it. 15-15 for Dwight tomorrow night. Guarantee.
Yeah, we about to start having fun with bits on the show because at this point, we didn't even get a lively 3. I thought I was at least get a lively 3 tonight. We didn't even get that.
Yeah, I lied.
Not even a 3PA.
No attempt
Oh,
at all.
I didn't say he was going to make it. I said I thought we were
I thought it was
gonna
at least
get
getting an attempt. We didn't even
Well,
get that.
I lied. I promised it, but I knew it wasn't going to happen. Trust me.
But shout out to y'all.
I'm a bad person.
We really appreciate all of you who have joined us here on our post game show. Obviously, these are not the
This was a very strong crowd and a spirited chat room for a.
I figured the chat was going to be kind of lit up tonight because a loss like this is not something that you want to see, especially when you felt like you could have potentially got one if you were a Mavs fan that felt like this was going to be an opportunity to get a win. But
Can I do some apologia? Or not even apologia.
Before
11
you
seconds, yeah.
before you do that, I'm going to let our television audience
Fast
go.
Channel 59 alert.
One more time.
Fast Channel 59 alert.
I appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports on the way out the door, and go to alldlls.com to become a diehard member and join our DLLS Sports family. And appreciate you joining us here for our television audience. As we continue here and finish up here on our DLLS Mavs postgame show on the YouTube side of things, Bob, you had a thought before we get out of here?
Yes. So I worked for the Mavs before doing this job for almost 10 years, doing kind of this for them, streaming and writing and podcasting and stuff. And there were times, even when the team was like playoff caliber team, there were times when people were mad, and then there were times when people just didn't really care all that much. Caring is so much better than indifference.
For sure.
So, excuse me, I would just ask, hey, don't be that big of a D-bag in the chat. Don't cuss. Don't do personal insults, even though I just said don't be a D-bag. But I'm not calling you one. I'm saying don't be one. We all know the difference. Everyone, it sucks. It sucks. We all thought this season was going to be great. We all thought this team was going to be great. And now we're going to have to watch a lot of losses over the next month. And the team might not even make the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe 3 months from now, we're partying on a yacht, as the Mavs have rattled off their 30th straight win.
Didn't our man Jeff Stott say earlier today that he felt like this was 2011 Mavs vibes?
That was ultimate copium.
Yeah, that's
so much.
I saw that. I was like, woo!
I got high just from reading that. But it's good that we care. We all care. We care.
We do.
We care up here, and I know that y'all care too. And so, we're going to keep making this stuff because we care about it, because we care about the sport, we care about the team, we care about each other, we care about this, we care about y'all. And so, hey, no matter how ugly it gets, hopefully we're able to come here and have a good time, but ultimately building a good community and, not being D-bags to each other.
Yeah, we care.
Except for me being a D-bag to Tim sometimes.
Guarantee.
I've earned it.
Keeps
me humble.
Last thing I'll say before we get out is we care about the team, and obviously the way that we talk about and discuss the team, we are trying to give you as real as it gets when it comes to how we view this team, what we believe they are, and what they can be going forward as well. And we know that you're as passionate a fan when it comes to this basketball team. So look, we speak our hearts and speak what we believe is true based off of what we see and observe on this team, and we just deliver it to you in the most entertaining and possibly the most entertaining way that we can. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how y'all may feel about it. So we appreciate all of your support. We really, really do. And as my guy Harvey Dent said, the night is darkest just before the dawn. So hopefully that dawn is right around the corner. Anything else before we go, gentlemen? Because we got to do this less than 24 hours from now.
Nope.
All right, cool.
Godspeed.
We'll be back tomorrow here for our DLLS Mavs pregame show at 5:45. Make sure you mark your calendar. 5:45 p.m. start time for our pregame show. Tip-off is at 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. start tomorrow. The game is nationally televised.
You guys see this Estonian saying from Soren?
What's that?
I don't know exactly what it means, but it sounds profound. No soup will be eaten as hot as it's cooked.
Well, that must be pretty hot right now because the Mavs are cooked. But it's
I think that's beautiful. That's kind of gorgeous. I think that's beautiful. It's not always going to be painful.
Gorgeous.
It's going to be delightful.
I like how you had to
and
break
you will be nourished eventually, but you're just not right now.
Yeah. Eat your vegetables, as a great philosopher Bobby Curlow once said.
That's right. We got to eat our veggies. And boy, I'm loaded up on broccolini, broccoli, asparagus, the whole shebang. It's gonna be a really, really, really green month, I'm afraid.
5:45 p.m. start time for the DLLS Mavs pregame show with tip-off at 6:30. Again, nationally televised game on TNT. Early tip-off at 6:30 as LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers come to town to take on your Dallas Mavericks. That's right. Spam the chat. LeBron James. Really appreciate all of you joining us here on the post-game show for our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. That's our Mavericks.
I saw that, Ardell.
That's our Mavericks.
Think they beat the Caps tonight, Ardell.
That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Corella. That is our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. here.
Good night,
on
everyone.
DLLS Sports. Y'all be
Hang
good.
in there.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.